Today, we're diving straight into the ultimate planetary murder mystery, why the dinosaurs really died.
Okay, let's dive right into this. William Shatner once actually called this a planetary murder mystery. And honestly, he hit the nail on the head. We are essentially reopening a 66-million-year-old cold case today. You see, for the longest time, the narrative was pretty straightforward. A big rock fell from the sky, and boom, everything died. But the actual science paints a much darker picture of a highly complex crime scene with a massive, almost incomprehensible victim count. To really understand why the dinosaurs were wiped out, we have to look way past that initial impact and examine the devastating chain of events that followed. By digging into the data together, we're going to piece together exactly how a thriving, prehistoric planet was brought to a sudden apocalyptic standstill. We need to find the weapon, analyze the blast zone, and identify exactly what turned our planet into a sudden death trap.
To start, we have our primary weapon, the literal smoking gun. Exactly 66 million years ago, an asteroid roughly 7 miles in diameter was hurtling towards Earth. Just to put that into perspective, we're talking about a projectile the size of a city. It was packing millions of times the kinetic energy of our most powerful nuclear weapons, and it was on a direct collision course with us. This 7-mile-wide projectile is widely considered the major cause of the mass extinction that abruptly ended the reign of the dinosaurs. But here's the crazy part. For a long time, the physical evidence of this giant space rock was completely missing.
Now, a 7-mile asteroid obviously leaves a staggering scar, specifically a crater more than 100 miles wide. But you can't just walk up and look at it today. This massive impact zone, known as the Chicxulub crater, is actually hidden deep beneath layers of limestone and ocean sediment in the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico. The fact that a 100-mile-wide hole in the Earth was totally concealed for so long is a huge reason why this mystery took decades to finally unravel.
Our modern investigation really kicked into gear back in 1980. That's when Nobel Prize-winning physicist Luis Alvarez, along with his geologist son Walter, first proposed the theory that an asteroid actually killed the dinosaurs. Now, believe it or not, the scientific community was highly skeptical of the Alvarez hypothesis at first. I mean, it sounded a bit like science fiction, right? But that skepticism finally shattered in 1991 when the Chicxulub crater was definitively identified as the ancient impact site. Finally, researchers had a physical location that captured the reality of that ancient catastrophe.
And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer visceral horror of that first day. The immediate devastation was, well, it's almost impossible to wrap your head around. We're talking about an explosive power millions of times stronger than the absolute strongest nuclear weapons ever built. The air heated up so intensely that it literally ignited wet vegetation on fire instantly. Shockwaves traveled faster than the speed of sound, leveling everything within a 1,000-mile radius in the blink of an eye. And if that somehow wasn't enough, the impact triggered giant global tsunamis that were thousands of feet tall. It's a level of destruction that the human mind can barely comprehend.
But here is the truly terrifying twist. That unimaginable initial blast, it didn't actually kill everything. Instead, it triggered a fatal kill sequence. The impact shot an enormous amount of material straight up into space. The incredibly fine portions of that debris, known as aerosols, ended up circling the Earth's upper atmosphere, effectively blocking out the sun. And this triggered a devastating impact winter. Without sunlight, temperatures just plunged. Large parts of the world started freezing over. And crucially, things that rely on sunlight, like plants and algae at the very base of the food chain, could no longer photosynthesize. Basically, the food ran out, leading to a complete, catastrophic collapse of the entire global ecosystem.
Which brings us to the ultimate victim count. An astonishing 80% of all life on Earth was wiped out during this ecological disaster. Now, there's still a lot we don't know about exactly how the surviving 20% managed to make it through. It's highly likely that a lot of smaller dinosaurs and early mammals might have been able to hide out in little burrows, escaping the absolute worst of the freezing temperatures and that deadly atmospheric fallout. But for the vast majority of life on the surface, there was simply no escape from the starvation and the cold.
Now, I want you to pause for a second and really think about this. What if the asteroid had hit our planet just a few hours earlier, or a few hours later? Our planet is constantly spinning, right? If that 7-mile-wide rock had arrived just a tiny bit sooner or later in the day, the Earth's rotation means it would have struck a completely different location on the globe. And experts point out a totally mind-blowing reality here. If it had hit somewhere else, it might not have caused a mass extinction at all. The butterfly effect of that timing is just incredible.
Now, what's really interesting about this target zone is its specific geology. The asteroid didn't just hit anywhere, it hit a shallow marine shelf. And unfortunately for the dinosaurs, this specific shelf was absolutely packed with volatile sulfur minerals. When the asteroid struck, it blasted those specific sulfur minerals incredibly high up into the air. That chemical payload is exactly what caused the chain reaction of global freezing and darkness. In hindsight, the location was basically the worst possible target on the entire planet.
Let that sink in for just a second. A missed shelf might have meant no mass extinction. And the significance of this to you and me? It absolutely cannot be overstated. Our very existence as humans, the entire evolutionary path that led to mammals taking over the Earth, hinges entirely on this freak, perfectly timed astronomical collision. If the Earth had rotated just slightly more, the dinosaurs might have survived, and the human race as we know it might never have had the evolutionary opening to even exist. Our entire history is tied directly to the sulfur on that specific shallow marine shelf.
Let's shift gears and see how this builds, because the mystery actually doesn't end with the asteroid. Right around the exact same time, 66 million years ago, the Earth was experiencing its own apocalyptic event from within. Enter the Deccan Traps. This was a massive outpouring of lava in central India, creating incredibly thick lava deposits. But we're not talking about a standard volcano here. This was a style of volcanism we don't even see today, where giant fissures literally ripped open in the Earth, releasing massive quantities of gas and dust into the atmosphere.
So, as geological detectives, we're now looking at two massive events that line up perfectly in the fossil record. On one hand, we have our prime suspect, the Chicxulub asteroid impact. On the other hand, we have a potential accomplice, the Deccan Traps volcanism. Now, while most scientists do believe the devastating asteroid was the sole cause of the extinction, the scientific consensus is actually far from unanimous. Many experts rightly ask, could the incredibly thick, toxic outpourings from the Deccan Traps actually be responsible for wiping out the dinosaurs, rather than or perhaps in addition to the Chicxulub impact? We have to look at all the evidence neutrally.
So the crucial point is exactly what this quote highlights. It could be that the asteroid did it on its own, or it could be that it had help. We might actually be looking at a deadly collaboration, a devastating 1-2 punch, where a cosmic impact from space and an apocalyptic eruption from within the Earth itself worked together to collapse the global ecosystem. It's a truly terrifying scenario, where the planet was essentially attacked from both the sky above and the ground below.
And I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought. We are talking about the most famous, world-ending mass extinction in our planet's history, right? Yet, as we've explored today, the most plausible, evidence-based theories, the crater, the sulfur shelf, the dual threat of the Deccan Traps, these are all shockingly recent discoveries. I mean, it was only in the 1990s that we even found the crater. It really makes you wonder, if a 100-mile-wide scar that reshaped literally all life on Earth could stay hidden beneath our feet for that long, what other giant secrets are still lying hidden just beneath the surface, waiting to be discovered? Keep questioning, keep learning, and thank you so much for